The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
What if I told you that a Democrat president once stood before Congress and gave a speech that sounded exactly like Donald Trump? That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. An angry Republican destroys top Democrat in one of the most savage hearings ever caught on camera. The showdown turned brutal when he unleashed an insane video that exposed the left's hypocrisy on border security. What followed was a political annihilation that left Democrats humiliated.
Members of this committee, please turn your attention to the video screens.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it. The most important job of our government in this new era is to empower the American people to succeed in the global economy. America has always been a land of opportunity, a land where if you work hard, you can get ahead. We've become a great middle-class country. Middle-class values sustain us. We must expand that middle class and shrink the underclass, even as we do everything we can to support the millions of Americans who are already successful in the new economy. America is once again the world's strongest economic power. Almost 6 million new jobs in the last 2 years, exports booming, inflation down, high-wage jobs are coming back. A record number of American entrepreneurs are living the American dream. If we want it to stay that way, those who work and lift our nation must have more of its benefits. Today, too many of those people are being left out. They're working harder for less. They have less security, less income, less certainty that they can even afford a vacation, much less college for their kids or retirement for themselves. We cannot let this continue. If we don't act, our economy will probably keep doing what it's been doing since about 1978, when the income growth began to go to those at the very top of our economic scale. And the people in the vast middle got very little growth, and people who worked like crazy but were on the bottom then fell even further and further behind in the years afterward, no matter how hard they worked. We've got to have a government that can be a real partner in making this new economy work for all of our people, a government that helps each and every one of us to get an education and to have the opportunity to renew our skills. That's why we work so hard to increase educational opportunities in the last 2 years, from Head Start to public schools to apprenticeships for young people who don't go to college to making college loans more available and more affordable. That's the first thing we have to do. We've got to do something to empower people to improve their skills. Second thing we ought to do is to help people raise their incomes immediately by lowering their taxes.
You believe in open borders and complete chaos. Did you notice the bipartisan support in the chamber? As the video was played, everybody was clapping in that chamber. If I were in Congress in 1995, I would have also stood. Because I wasn't, I stand here today. Other than President Donald J. Trump, the greatest president in my lifetime, with the most safest and secure border, I believe President Clinton understood just how important border security is to our nation. But boy, oh boy, have times changed. 28 years later, the left has gone off the rails. They've gone completely nuts. They've done just the opposite of what the leader of the Democrat Party, President Clinton, stood for on border security in 1995. This committee's ranking member, he was in Congress in 1995. I assume he stood. It seemed like the majority, if not all of the entire chamber, they stood. Matter of fact, Mr. Clinton delivered his speech in the third year of his first term, and he was reelected in 1996. He beat Bob Dole, won by over 8 million votes, won the Electoral College 379 to 159. He had the support of the American people, and I'm going to assume the ranking member also voted for Bill Clinton in 1996. We have two other members, Ms. Jackson and Ms. Lofgren. They were both freshmen at the time. I will assume they stood during that powerful speech as well. And do you know why they supported and voted? They voted for legislation in 1996 strengthening our immigration laws. I applaud them for that. So what's changed, folks? What's changed with the Democrat Party? I'll tell you what's changed. If you wouldn't have heard President Clinton's voice or seen his face, you would have thought Donald Trump delivered that speech. I don't believe that President Clinton was called a racist, a white supremacist who hated immigrants, as the left and the dishonest media has painted Donald J. Trump to be. I have a report from the Heritage Foundation titled Tracking Movement of Illegal Aliens from NGOs to Interior of the USA. Why do you think NGOs have moved illegal immigrants to 431 of the 435 congressional districts? The truth is, hear me, it's because the Democrats' progressive policies are not acceptable to Americans. Heritage obtained a sampling of approximately 30,000 cell phones that were tracked to NGOs along border states. They tracked approximately 22,000 devices at 20 NGO locations in January 2022. The same devices were later traced to 431 separate U.S. congressional districts, and of the 52 with the highest rate of tracked devices, 71 of them were Republican congressional districts. The report revealed that it's not a coincidence, folks. The flood of illegal immigrants means a continual rise in surplus laborers. That surplus drives down the wages of existing middle-class and lower-class job holders until they leave the job forces, and then they're forced to go on welfare with the hopes that they will become loyal supporters of the Democrats. That's what this is all about.
In 1995, President Bill Clinton stood at the podium, looked straight at the American people, and said that illegal immigration was stealing jobs, draining public services, and putting a heavy burden on taxpayers. He promised to hire a record number of border guards. He bragged about deporting more criminal aliens than ever before. He talked about cracking down on illegal hiring and even barring welfare benefits for illegal immigrants, and the reaction was insane. The chamber exploded with applause. Democrats, Republicans, everybody stood and clapped. The same people who today scream racism at any mention of border security were once on their feet cheering when their own president said the exact same thing. If you didn't see Clinton's face or hear his voice, you would have sworn it was Donald Trump delivering those words. Clinton didn't just throw out talking points, he laid down a tough plan. He reminded America that we are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. He said it was wrong and self-defeating to allow abuse of immigration laws to continue. He even leaned on recommendations from Barbara Jordan, a respected Democrat who chaired the Commission on Immigration Reform. Her commission made it clear workplace enforcement was essential. Stopping illegal hiring was the only way to protect both American workers and legal immigrants. Clinton promised to do it, and Congress clapped until their hands hurt. Now here's the irony. Fast forward nearly 30 years. If Trump repeats those same words, the left calls it hate speech. If Trump says America must enforce immigration laws, he's labeled a xenophobe, a white supremacist, even Hitler. The same sentences, the same promises, but a completely different reaction. Back then, Clinton's words brought the parties together. Today, those words rip the country apart. Let's not forget what happened after that speech. Clinton wasn't punished politically, he wasn't smeared by the media as a bigot. He was rewarded. In 1996, he went on to win re-election in a landslide. He beat Bob Dole by more than 8 million votes. He crushed the Electoral College, 379 to 159. The American people gave him a second term, and immigration was one of the issues that helped him. That's proof right there. The public backed tougher immigration enforcement. The very thing Democrats now claim is unacceptable was once a winning strategy for their party. So what changed? Did Republicans suddenly become extremists? Or did Democrats abandon everything they once stood for? That's the real question. In 1995, the Democrat Party believed in border enforcement. They believed in cracking down on illegal hiring. They believed in deporting criminal aliens. They believed welfare should not be handed to people who broke the law to get here. That was their position. And now, they've flipped completely. Today, they defend open borders, endless benefits, and chaos. This isn't just hypocrisy, it's betrayal. Betrayal of working-class Americans who now compete with a flood of cheap labor. Betrayal of taxpayers who watch their money drained on public services for people who came here illegally. Betrayal of legal immigrants who followed the rules but see the system overwhelmed by those who did not. The Democrat Party of 1995 would have never stood for this. But the Democrat Party of today not only stands for it, they attack anyone who dares to oppose it. Like this video and hit subscribe to help expose the hypocrisy they're desperate to hide,